Hi there, I'm Linden Thorp. I'm an embodiment mentor, and today I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about what that means. Hopefully, in a few moments, we'll go live on LinkedIn, but until then, I'll just chat a little bit about it. Embodiment, the time is now for this because what's happening, and especially if you're a coach or an educator, then what's happening is people are really stuck in their minds. And it's so difficult to convince them to come away. They're so dependent on the intellectual mind, on the visual, on the appearance. But what's happening is that people have built their lives on the firework display of the mind, what I call the firework display of the mind. It's a wonderful tool. It generates thoughts, it analyzes, it does so many things, but it's not at all stable. And it's not the place to live your life from. If you live in your mind, then you're going to, by all means, neglect your body, and you're going to neglect your spirit. And these two things are essential to live fully. We can't live from the mind. It's a tool. It's one tool of many. And so I'm here as an embodiment mentor to show you how else we can use the mind, and also to indicate to you that the mind maybe you think of between the ears, or if you're in a different culture, it might be in the gut, or it might be in the solar plexus. Here in Japan, the mind is very definitely the diaphragm and solar plexus. People point to it when they're talking about the mind. But in most developed nations, then the mind is between the ears. And in fact, it may really shock you to realize that the mind is no such thing. It's a boundless space, like the sky. And we can learn this from various spiritual traditions. And many spiritual traditions find no way of proving that the mind most of us think of is between the eyes or between the ears. In many spiritual traditions, the mind is boundless. It is like ether. And that is so exciting because it means that anything is possible. It also means that we don't need to get attached. So the problem with the mind between the ears is that we latch on to things and we think there's no other way. And this means that we really neglect the body and the spirit, as I mentioned earlier. And this means that we are really limiting our lives. Mindset shifting and so on is like an epidemic, you know? Any day on the internet, you will find something that says, here are 10 ways to do this with your mind. Here are 18 hints of doing this with your mind. But in fact, all of that focus on the limited mind means that we pour our energy into something really unreliable. Now, you may find that hard to believe. You may disagree with me. And yeah, if you have questions or comments, please put them below this video or this live show if we go live. It looks to me as if we're not going live, but never mind, there'll be a video. So yeah, if we pour all our energy and all our time and all our dreams into the limited mind, then I'm afraid to say that one day it will be overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed, and you'll find a breakdown of some kind. This is what we're seeing with burnout, and I'm really concerned about that. Burnout is when the mind is completely overloaded and the body is isolated from that mind, and the spirit, well, that's nowhere to be seen at all. And people deny there is a spirit. And by spirit, I mean human energy. I don't mean anything religious. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. You don't need an external deity to be spiritual. I'm spiritual inside. I don't need a God to tell me how to do that. So, yeah, if you can imagine the mind between the ears as a firework display, fantastic fireworks going off all the time, the noise, the color, the spectacle. But what happens after the fireworks have gone off? Nothing. A few remnants of firework cartons, a vague smell of smoke in the air. And really, the intellectual mind is like that. How often have you had a thought and then lost it? The mind between the ears is a superb analyzer, great note taker. It's very useful, but for me, AI is a reflection of the human mind. It is limited. It is totally bound by the programming that human beings in their mind put into it. Yeah. Now, if you compare that, AI, I don't know about you, but my AI assistant often frustrates me because she doesn't have natural intelligence and she doesn't have a good memory. And we know there are some problems at the moment with AI. The servers are, overstretched. And so, yes, I'm having a lot of trouble with mine at the moment. And so that points up and out to me the limitedness of the programming that's going into AI. It's from the human mind, the one between the ears, not the infinite, spacious mind that I believe is my mind. That mind is the mind I can balance with my spirit and my body. The limited mind is just a great tool. I can use it. I can learn skills with it. I can use it in my everyday life, and it's very useful. But it is no way to live. And I can say that I haven't really lived in my mind for many, many years now through my spiritual pathway and through my embodiment work. I live in my body. I live in my spirit. I use my mind as a useful tool. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's unreliable. The spacious mind, the boundless mind, is totally reliable. And you cannot get any cross-wiring or any confusion. It's clear. It's clarity, just like the clear blue sky. Of course, occasionally clouds come across the sky, but they always clear eventually. And afterwards, you're left with this cerulean blue, infinite. We cannot see the end or the beginning. This is the human mind. I work a lot with something called Lodestone, which is a digital product I created earlier this year. And this product works with the inner compasses. if you've been here before, you've heard me talking about this. There are basically 4 inner compasses. And in a moment, I'm just going to give you a little presentation to explain this more to you. And if this is your first time at Lodestone Lunch, then welcome. Let's give you a little more information about what I'm doing. But before we do that, I'd like to feel that you have a sense of the difference between the 2 minds. We can perhaps compare the boundless mind to dreaming. Yeah, dreams, many would say, are impossible in real life. But in the boundless mind, anything is possible. Absolutely anything, I assure you. And the boundless mind works with the invisible world. And so if you think about your life and the way you lead each day, working in the village there, it'll catch up. There we are. Yeah, we've got a storm here in Japan. I'm sorry about that. It's a bit unstable. There we are. It's okay now. Yeah, so yeah, please, before I give you this presentation, which shows you how Lodestone works, please think about the difference between the limited mind and the way it works in the visual field, where you feel reality is. And if you close your eyes or even lower your eyelids, so there's a rim of light at the bottom of your gaze, and look at the tip of your nose, then you'll move into a totally different zone. This is your inner core, and this is where I work with Lodestone and with most of my embodiment work, because inside you is the infinite mind, the invisible. And if we think about the invisible realm, it is vast when compared with the visible realm. In the visible realm, we only believe what we see. Even scientists, but scientists also know that things happen in the invisible realm. Incredible things happen in the invisible realm. A good example may be with medical problems. If you have 2 patients diagnosed with the same disease, maybe cancer, and they're given a very short time to live, then in many studies, and I've really looked into this very deeply, you'll see that of these 2 people, one survives their death sentence and the other does not. And scientists just can't put their finger on what that is. They're receiving the same treatment, they've got the same symptoms perhaps, but one will survive and one will not. Now, this is the invisible world at work, and science will never, ever be able to prove anything about that, because the invisible world is unique to each of us, and it's only for us to experience. We can only experience it ourselves. It's not something we can share or read about or write about. So these are pretty amazing ideas, I know, and you're probably thinking, oh, wow, this is too much. Okay, stay with me and come back again, and I will show you that this is the case. My work is in the invisible world as a body specialist, as a meditation teacher, as a mindful educator, and as a healer. And this is my realm, and this is where I've been working for many years now. And I'm now bringing all my work and experience onto the internet to share with you. So in recent weeks, I've been talking about leadership and embodiment. Yes, it's so important for leaders not to lead from the limited mind, because the limited mind will break. And if you are living only in your mind, then you will not be able to receive the signals of distress that your body is sending to you. This is what happens with burnout. It's too late. Once the burnout process starts, it's a slippery slope. There's no way to recover from it. You just have to live through it, which is awful. And you'll recover in maybe a year, maybe 2 years. So my mission is to stop people burning out, to avoid burnout. And to do that, we need to use the mind in different ways you've never thought of, I'm sure. And that's what my Lodestone product is about. And that is what most of my work is about. So if you'd like to know more, please leave questions for me, leave comments for me under this video. Meanwhile, I'll give you a short presentation. Okay, just go to my desktop. Just one moment. Okay, just find my slide in it. Here you are. Okay. So I'd like to just give you this short presentation, which will tell you a little bit more stone, and will allow you to see how it's a very difficult much through them. What is Lodestone? Is a product created. It was released on the 1st of June this year. Actually, about your inner compasses. Now, inside your body, there are 4 compasses, and they are guide you. And if they are calibrated to true north, then you will be balanced. Your body, spirit, and mind will be balanced. You'll be happy, and you'll be living a long, healthy life. Okay. So these 4 compasses are really, really important. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain and the brainstem and the pineal light or pineal gland. Each of the compasses has a different focus. Let's move on to look at them in general. Compass 1 is really your outer awareness. Okay, and it's located in the brain and the pineal gland between the eyebrows and the brain stem at the back of your head. The brain compass really lets the body listen before the mind interprets. Okay. It's not the brain, it's not the limited brain at all. It's a combination of gland and other things. And it allows you to live without labels and names. You can negotiate the world very gently if this compass is calibrated correctly. And you can learn how to listen with your skin and your whole body. Okay. To go into the brain, the first compass, here's the pineal gland. We can see deep inside the brain, and also the pituitary gland, which they're both very important. But the pineal gland is particularly important. It activates the RAS, the reticular activating system. And this is something which allows us to notice things. You know, we're walking down the street, we see a bicycle. We're walking down a different street, we see another bicycle. It allows us to associate things together. It's really an important function of the brain. And the sensory cortex, this thing here, really tunes perception. And your outer awareness sharpens your filters. So the brain is really good at filtering, and neuroplasticity will tell us about this, neurodiversity and so on. And we also have the brainstem, and the brainstem is truly important. It's right at the back of the brain. It governs breath, heart, and your calmness. And yeah, if we see people or children maybe with tantrums, particularly handicapped, autistic children perhaps, they probably have some kind of damage to their brainstem, because that governs our breath and our calm. And then the vagus nerve connects everything together. So the vagus nerve comes down the sides of the face, comes, oops, oh, just a moment, let me move my pen, that's it. Down the sides of the face, into the chest, down into the arms, and right down into the gut. And the vagus nerve is the thing really that coordinates everything, and it gives feedback to your brain. So if your vagus nerve is not toned up, then you're not going to get the feedback, and you're not going to get the signals of burnout. They're not going to get through. I work a lot with the breath. Breathing, conscious breathing is healing. It really reinforces resilience, which doesn't live in the mind, it lives in the nervous system. And deep breathing, deep conscious breathing really gives you enormous spiritual clarity. So it's a really wonderful thing to do each day. Then if we look at compass 3, this is the spine. Okay. And the spine really is the tower of the soul. And we can use practices like grounding. We can think of the spine as a vertical conduit for consciousness, which it is. The spinal cord runs from the brain to the base of the spine, and energy flows between the base of the spine and the crown of your head. And we can see it's important to have good posture when you breathe deeply. If you sit like this, then you'll stand like this, which wouldn't be comfortable or acceptable. But if we sit beautifully like this with our feet on the floor, then this is how we're going to stand. So posture and the verticalness of your spine are really, really important when we do these practices. And when we talk about vertical alignment, this is not just posture, which I just mentioned, it's really presence. Now, every day, the buzzword we're hearing at the moment is be present. Well, how? If you've never experienced it, it might be very difficult to be present, and yet everybody's telling you to be present. So presence is one of the wonderful effects of meditation, which is why I've put a seated lotus meditator here. It also exists incredibly beautifully in animals. I love watching animals. This is my cat, and this is her hunting. And you can see every single hair, every follicle, every single skin pore is aware and alert. She's listening with her whole body for any vibration. We call it detecting vibration because it's a very different form of listening to listening with the ears, which we do in the intellectual world with the limited mind. I'm going to call it that from now on. But she is listening with her whole body, detecting vibrations with her whole body. Any vibration, no matter how small, could be the next meal, but on the other hand, it might be some kind of threat. So she is really totally aware. And this is something we need to cultivate. Meditation is about this kind of awareness, heightened awareness. The body is completely awake. Here we see some classical meditation poses, and we can see the chakras. Now, these are energy centers, and they line up along the spine. So that's why I work a lot with the spine, the crown of the head, the throat, the lungs, the heart. That's compass number 2. The solar plexus here, that's compass number 3. And right down at the base of the spine is the base chakra. And this is a really important place for generating energy. So your spine, if we have good vertical alignment, becomes a channel for truth instead of effort. And alignment, really, of this kind needs to just arise from very special practice, which I specialize in and can talk you through with my lodestone, so that, you're ceasing to make any kind of effort, but everything is working beautifully. I think of it as if there's no friction. If your spine is really vertically aligned, then there's everything smooth, everything flows. There's no friction, nothing to stop the flow. And that flow is your humanity, your humanness, which needs to flow like a wonderful river, deep, green, wide river, flowing without ceasing to the great ocean. Rivers never stop flowing. If there's a drought, they flow underground and then appear later. So flow is another word we're hearing a lot of these days. Flow is very important. So just a little word to finish with about the pineal gland. Okay, so the pineal gland between your eyebrows, this is where you work with your perceptions and your reflections and things like timing. Okay. This is not just biology. Your pineal gland really is like a tuning fork for coherence. And it can become luminous. It's called the third eye as well in Indian philosophy and meditation. And it's all about inner timing and spiritual perception. The brainstem is about breath and posture and reflexes. And the brain, that wonderful tool between your ears, is wonderful for story, for thoughts, and for identity. Okay. And the cranial compass, just to mention it again, the first compass is really interesting because the reason I called my product Lodestone is that a lodestone is an ancient compass. Long before the mechanical compass was invented, mariners and travelers used magnetic rock to guide them. When there was a sandstorm in the desert or no moon and stars to guide them, then they would use magnetite. This exists nowadays all over the place, magnetic rock. And in fact, we have some very tiny crystals of magnetite in our pineal gland and in various areas of the brain, which allow us to guide ourselves. Yeah, maybe you didn't know that. So yes, magnetite is important for the body. It helps regulate the circadian rhythms of your body. And above all, it creates inner radiance and generates melatonin, which is your skin color. The crown compass, then, here at the top of the head, listens inward before deciding about anything outside. It's quite different to the brain. It also is involved in activating light perception, not just vision. So we invest all our energy into the eye and seeing and thinking and computing. But in fact, we have many other types of vision, which I talk about in my Lodestone. I work with in the Lodestone. So if you work with my Lodestone or with me or both, then you're going to calibrate your 4 compasses. And this will mean you're going to work on your outer awareness. You're going to make your breath an anchor. Your spine will become a conduit for consciousness, and your crown will become a wonderful perceiver. And you will learn how to live with the compass open. Here it is. It's immediately deliverable, and it's a 30-day program. Each session is a kind of ceremony, really, an audio transmission of 30 minutes every day for 30 days. And I work with whole body listening, with embodying, and actually with bringing you back to your body, because this is your home. You've left it, you've gone out into the visual field, into the mind. The mind is a tool. As I said at the beginning, you cannot live in the mind. If you do, you'll go crazy or you'll burn out. So my practice brings you back into your body. And this is where you can really start to get balanced. And here we have a picture of a lodestone. Yeah, this is the magnetic rock I mentioned. This is what human beings already have inside them. So that is my stone. And I'd like to just spend just 2 minutes, just come back to you for a moment. I'd like to spend 2 minutes telling you about my latest book, which has just been published in a fixed text edition with really beautiful illustrations to inspire you. And it's called Your Body is Your Business Plan. Avoid burnout. So I've written this book from a very strong concern that people are burning out because they're living in their minds, and that if I can encourage them into their bodies and their spirits, then they will not burn out and they will not have to suffer the horrors of burnout, which I've never experienced personally, but I've actually worked with a few people who've experienced it, and it's appalling, an appalling condition to be in, and it takes a long time to recover from. Some people say you never really recover from it. So I'm very concerned to help you avoid burnout. And let me just give you a little peep into the book. And then under the video, we'll put the details of how you can get it. It's on Amazon. There's a paperback version, and the audio version will be available very soon. Let me just show you a little bit of it. Here it is, Avoid Burnout. Okay. And I'm Linden Thorp, as you know. So yeah, you can see the chapters we've got here. What is the mind and what isn't it? A burnout, when the mind runs the machine. Chapter 3, the mind as a servant, not a master. Burnout, the hidden cost of living in your head. Chapter 5, business as life. So this book really looks at how to be successful in business without burning out by becoming embodied. And if your business is part of your life rather than something separate, if you are connected through your business, then you're less likely to burn out. And then the conclusion is rather enigmatic, because there are several more books in this series to come. The next one hopefully will be released early next year, and it will be a full-blown text. This is really a gateway book. It's simplified and just gives you some of the ideas. I tell you my story, and you can see there are some very inspiring illustrations. I take you into the myths about the mind, and then I look at the business consequences of various things that the mind does. And I give you quotations and lots of insights, practices. Of course, I mention Lodestone and how it works to help you. And I have arranged the book in small chunks because people are having difficulty reading long texts nowadays. So I decided to make small chunks so that you can read one chunk and then go and do something else and come back and read another chunk. Now, this is designed for modern life, rushing around, and also modern reading, which is not going as deeply into texts as we used to. And that's partly because of the internet and partly because of various attention deficits that we've got due to the internet in some ways. So you can see I've arranged this so that it's really readable in small chunks. And there are practices and all the issues, or many of the issues I've mentioned today, are up. And there's lots of advice about how to avoid burnout. And so it really gets you started on looking at your business as a new paradigm, so that you can be integrated into your business, so that it's not separate. And that is the best way to run a business. So there I am saying goodbye. And I mention some of my other projects too on the back. So it's not a huge book because it's a gateway book, but it's very readable. It's being received very well by people, and I'd love you to have a look at it. So thank you so much for being here on Lodestone Lunch. We'll put this video out as soon as possible, and we'll put various links to the book and Lodestone and so on beneath the live window. And if there's anything I've said that's resonated with you, then please contact me. You can DM me easily. I'm on LinkedIn every day. You'll always find me there, and I will answer your DM very quickly. You can also take a look at my profile, and there you'll find lots and lots of articles about the kind of thing I've been talking about today. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've derived some benefit from my talk, and I really hope that you don't burn out. Thank you so much. Bye for now.